Hello, students of Uzbekistan. Welcome to our class on Fun with Tables in Microsoft Word. Have you ever wondered how your school schedule is created? Well, by the end of today's class, you will be creating your own schedule or timetable. Let's get to it. Okay, so by the end of the lesson, those are the objectives. You will know the different parts that make up a table. You'll know the purpose for a table. And you'll also be looking at how do you analyze a table to recreate it. Let's get to it. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to understand what are the parts that make up a table. Now a table is made up of rows that run horizontally and columns that stand vertically. And wherever a row and a column meets, that's called a cell, just like in the diagram here. Now, within a cell in a table, we can put a myriad of things. We can put text, we can put numbers, we can even put pictures. So we're going to look at the different things that we can do to our cells in our tables to make our table look even more elegant. Now, one of the first things I'm going to look at is, by the end of the lesson, this is a schedule that you will be recreating. Now, you realize how fun it looks. It's full of colors. You're going to be learning to do all of this by the end of our lesson. Okay? Now, before you decide to create a table, you first have to look to see how many rows you're going to need and how many columns you're going to need. Now, let's recall. What are rows? They run horizontally. What are columns? They stand vertically. So let's look at our table that we're going to recreate, and let's look at how many rows and how many columns we're going to need. We're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. Remember, we're going to need 6 columns. Then let's look at how many rows we're going to need. But looky here. This is just 1, but the rest are 2. We're going to learn what that is and how to do that also. Good? Now, when you look at your table, even though some of the cells are put together, you still have to count the amount of actual rows that were originally in the table. Now, if we look here, we can actually tell how many original rows there were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows. So we're going to need 9 rows and 6 columns. Let's look at how that is done. Now here is Microsoft Word. The first step in creating your table is we go to the Insert tab. On our Insert tab, we look for the table icon. And there are 2 ways that we can insert our table. We can select the number of rows and columns, or my favorite way, just to add the number of rows or columns. So I can click Insert Table, number of columns. How many columns did we say? Very good, 6. And how many rows did we say? 9. Okay, voila. Doesn't look like much, does it? But this is the first step on our way to creating this table. Okay? Let's go further. Okay, so we inserted our table. We specified how many rows and how many columns. Okay? Now, let's say you're creating your table and you realize, I missed a row. I counted 6, but in actuality, I may need 7. That's fine. We don't have to go back from the beginning. Okay? Now, we can actually insert rows that we forgot, and we can insert columns that we forgot. And in the same way, if we put too many rows or too many columns, we can remove those also. Let's see how that is done. Okay. Now, if I had too many columns, I could remove a column. How to do that? We select the column that we want to remove. You click the right side of the mouse. Now, as you all know, our mouse has 2 sides, a left and a right. We can left click and we can right click. Now, when we right click, we get a drop-down menu, and we choose Delete Columns. Oh my God, I now only have 5 columns, but I need 6 columns. Not a problem. Let's go back and let's put it in. In the same way we deleted the columns, we can actually put them back in. Select a column, click the right side of the mouse, insert. Now the beautiful thing with Microsoft Word is you can choose where you want to insert the column. So I could choose to insert the column to the left of the one I select or to the right of the one I select. Beautiful, isn't it? Good, so I'm going to put insert column to the left. So now I have 6 columns ready to work with. In the same way, we can remove and put rows in. I now have 9 rows. I can remove 1 or more of these rows. Select the row, click the right side of the mouse, and I can choose delete cells, because delete means to remove. Now here, I've gotten options. I can choose to only remove some of the cells, or I can choose to remove the entire row. I'm going to remove the entire row. Voila. Now I only have 8 rows, but I do need 9 rows. So I'm going to put it back in. And no, I'm not going to undo the action. I'm actually going to select, click the right side of the mouse, insert, and this time I'm going to choose rows and choose where I want to put in my row. Good. So now I have my 9 rows and my 9 columns. Good. So let's review quickly what we have learned. We have learned 1, how to insert a table. We have learned 2, how to remove a row and remove a column. And we've also learned how to insert a row and insert a column. Beautiful. Let's continue. Now, this is the table that we want to create. Now, the question is, how did they get this all together into being one? That is called a feature of Microsoft Word. It's called merging cells. The word merge means to put together, to come together. So what I'm going to show you how to do now is I'm going to show you how to merge these cells, these 2 cells, to create one very large cell. Good. Now let's look at the cells that we need to merge. Let's just go back quickly. So we need to merge the last cell in the 2nd row and the last cell in the 3rd row. Last row, 2nd cell, and last row, 3rd cell. Good? So we're going to merge those together. So we select, click the right side of the mouse, and choose Merge Cells. Did you see that? It's now one. Now let's look at which other cells in our table we will need to merge. All right, so we need to merge the 3rd column in the 8th row and the 3rd column in the 9th row. 8th row and 9th row, 3rd column. Select. What do we do next? Click the right side of the mouse. Very good. And we choose Merge Cells. Very good. Brilliant. Good. Let's see the next one that we need to merge. We also need to merge the 4th column, 8th row, 4th column, 9th row. And the same thing for the 5th column, 8 and 9, and the 6th column, 8 and 9. Let's do that together. Select cells that you want to merge. That's the first step. What's the next step? Very good. Right click. What's the 3rd step? Merge cells. Very good. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing for these two. Good? So we have merged the last 2 rows in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th column. Last 2 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good? Beautiful. Okay, let's take it a step further. Now, you'll realize that the cells they're a bit wide. Good? Now, how do we what do we call that? We call this adjusting or expanding. So we can expand our rows to get them higher. We can expand our columns to change the sizes or get them wider. Let's see how that is done. Now, if you look at my cursor closely, you'll realize that it looks like an I-beam. Good? Now, in order for me to expand my column, I can expand or contract. Expand means to make bigger. Contract means to make smaller. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to contract my first column. What does contract mean? Very good. To make smaller. Good. Now I'm going to put my cursor until it changes to a double-sided arrow. Do you see that? Can you see that? It now changes to a double-sided arrow. What this means is now I can go ahead and expand or contract my column. So I'm going to click the left side of the mouse, and I'm going to hold it down, and then I'm going to pull it to the left. Do you see that? Now I have a smaller column here and a larger column here. Now let's see how we would expand a row. Good? If I want to expand this row, my first row, or my second row, again, I put the cursor where I want to expand. I wait until it changes to an I-beam, double-sided arrow. I click on the left side of the mouse, and I pull it down. So I've expanded a column, or contracted a column, and I've expanded a row. Let's go ahead and expand all our other rows, because we're going to be putting some information in this table. Making sure that you're with me. Good. Now our table is making shape. It's almost looking like what we had before. Good? Remember? That's what we're trying to create. Do you identify any other sections of our table that needs to be merged? Look closely. Very good. Our snack and break time and our lunch time needs to be merged. Now this time we are merging across. Not down, we're merging across. Let's do that. Now, let's look which one we need to merge. So we need to merge rows 1, 2, 3, 4. Our fifth row, all the cells from column 2 all the way to column 5 needs to be merged. And in our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th row, so our fifth row and our 7th row from column 2 to column 5, we're going to merge those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th row, columns 2 across. Again, we select the cells that we want to put together, and then we click on the right side of the mouse and merge. See, now all this space is ready for us to type in. And then, which other row? Our 7th row also needs to be merged. So this is our 5th row, our 7th row. Right click, merge cells. See? Again, our table is now it's looking more like what we had before. All right? Now, this is where the first segment or session is going to end. Now, in our next session, we are going to look at when our information is in the table, how do we add background colors and format our table? See you at our next lesson.